Parasympathomimetics. These are the drugs that mimics the actions of parasympathetic postganglionic neurons or acetylcholine. As these drugs mimics the actions of acetylcholine, these are also called as cholinomimetics, cholinergic or cholinergic agonists because these will act as agonists on cholinergic receptors. These parasympathomimetics are classified into three types: direct acting, indirect acting and ganglionic stimulants. These direct acting drugs will act on cholinergic receptors directly, whereas indirect acting drugs inhibit the enzyme acetylcholine esterase, thereby inhibiting the hydrolysis of acetylcholine. These direct acting drugs are again of three types. These drugs are of synthetic origin, which are synthetic choline esters, acetylcholine, methacholine, bethanacol and carbachol, whereas natural alkaloids includes muscarine, pilocarpine and aracholine. There are also miscellaneous drugs called tremorin and oxytremorin, which doesn't have any therapeutic use. The indirect acting drugs contain reversible indirect acting parasympathomimetics, which has physostigmine of natural origin and neostigmine, pyridostigmine, rivastigmine and edrophonium of synthetic origin. The reversible indirectly acting parasympathomimetics includes organophosphates and carbamates. Organophosphates include parathione, malathione, isofluroside and ecothiopate, and carbamates includes propoxyl and carbaryl. Ganglionic stimulants include nicotine, lobelia, phenyltrimethyl ammonium, dimethylphenyl piperazinium. Now let's see in detail about directly acting parasympathomimetics. The mechanism of action of these directly acting parasympathomimetics is it will directly activate cholinergic receptors, and by activating it will elicit actions like acetylcholine even after the denervation. In case of denervation, the acetylcholine supply to the organ will be completely absent. In such cases also these directly acting drugs can be used, and the prototype drug is acetylcholine. The synthetic choline esters are methacholine, carbachol and bethanacol. These methacholine and carbachol are obsolete, that is these are not available in the market, whereas bethanacol, it is resistant to hydrolysis. As it doesn't undergo hydrolysis, its half-life is sufficiently long for the therapeutic use, and it has muscarinic actions in GIT and bladder especially, and it is devoid of nicotinic actions. And the therapeutic uses of bethanacol are, it can be used in post-operative or postpartum bladder atony. Bladder atony means the contractions of the bladder will be decreased. As the contractions of the bladder is decreased, there will be urinary retention. So to combat that urinary retention, bethanacol can be used. If the bethacholine is not enough effective, if the bethacholine is not showing the actions effectively, it can be used in combination with terrajosin, which is an alpha-1 blocker, and it is a good adjunct for urinary retention treatment. In case of acute urinary retention, 2.5 mg of bethanacol can be given subcutaneously. In case of chronic urinary retention, 10 to 15 mg can be given orally with meals. After the automatic voiding starts, that is after the use of bethacholine for some days, automatic urinary voiding will be started, and the drug can be withdrawn. And the second therapeutic use is it can also be used to treat GIT atony, where in case where the contractions of the GIT are decreased. It can be used for the expulsion of gases from intestine before radiological examinations for some diagnostic use, and it can also be used to treat paralytic ileus of the gut. Ileus of the gut means there will be some obstruction in the gut. Either the food can be blocked or the gases can be blocked in the gut. In such cases, 10 to 20 mg twice a day it can be used. And to treat xerostomia also, this bethanacol can be used. Xerostomia is the disorder of salivary gland, where the salivary glands are malfunctioned. The salivary glands will be dried up and there will be no secretion of saliva. The main precaution to be taken while using bethanacol is it should not be given intravenously, as it may cause cardiovascular collapse. And the adverse drug reactions include CNS stimulation, meiosis, spasm of accommodation where the muscles of iris will be in contracted state for a long time, bronchoconstriction, abdominal cramps, flushing, sweating and salivation. All these adverse reactions are common for parasympathomimetics, and the contraindications are when this bethanacol is given in hyperthyroidism patients, they will develop atrial fibrillations and cardiac arrhythmias. In the bronchial asthma, this will aggravate asthma. In the peptic ulcer patients, it will increase gastric acid secretion. In the myocardial infarction, there is a danger of conduction block where the patient may suffer from cardiac arrest. Coming to the natural alkaloids, muscarine, aracholine and pilocarpine are the natural alkaloids. This aracholine is present in areca or betel nuts, which is of no therapeutic use. This muscarine, it can be obtained from a poisonous mushroom called Amanita muscaria. It is not therapeutically used. When mushrooms of the genus Inocybe or Clitocybe are consumed, toxicity may be developed. This toxicity can be treated using atropine. In the dose of 1 to 2 mg intramuscularly can be used for every 30 minutes till the symptoms subside. And pilocarpine, it is generally too toxic for the systemic use, therefore it is not available in the market. It is obtained from the leaves of Pilocarpus zaborandi and it is a tertiary amine, therefore it can cross blood-brain barrier. It has muscarinic actions through M3 receptors and mild nicotinic actions through NN receptors. The therapeutic uses of pilocarpine includes, it is mainly used for ophthalmic use to treat open angle glaucoma, where intraocular pressure will be decreased, and 0.5 to 4% solution can be used for this purpose. And it can also counteract mydriasis as it causes meiosis, and it breaks the adhesion between iris and lens. And it can also be used as Silogog. Silogog is an agent which will stimulate the saliva secretion, and it can be used as Silogog in patients after laryngeal surgery, where the mouth of the patient will be completely dried up and there will be no salivary secretion. And it can also be used in treating xerostomia after the radiotherapy in cancer patients. And the miscellaneous drugs include tremorine and oxotremorine. These drugs has no therapeutic use, but they can be used as investigative research tools in developing Parkinsonism-like symptoms in animals, which can be used for the screening of anti-Parkinsonic drugs. Ganglionic stimulants. Before going to know what are ganglionic stimulants, let's see what is meant by ganglion. Ganglion means nerve cell cluster or group of nerve cell bodies in autonomic nervous system or sensory system. These ganglionic stimulants are the agents. This will mimic the neural transmission that will happen by the stimulation of nicotinic receptors in autonomic nervous system. The examples of ganglionic stimulants will include nicotine, lobeline, phenyltrimethylammonium, dimethylphenyl piperazinium. When these agents will bind with the receptors, this will cause membrane depolarization, where influx of sodium and calcium ions will be increased. By the increase of influx of these ions, there will be a postsynaptic potential that will be generated. The main actions of these ganglionic stimulants are, by acting on nicotinic receptors in plasma membrane of adrenal medulla, it will cause exocytosis and epinephrine and norepinephrine will be released. By acting at neuromuscular junction, there will be skeletal muscle contraction. These can also be used in the treatment of smoking cessation or quitting of tobacco chewing.